Well, indeed, the background has already indicated what this is all about. Tonight is again your weekly Let's Talk Agriculture show. In the building, we have two doctors today. It will be a very fascinating talk show tonight. Uncle Dr. Sidat Yafa is with me in the studio, and I can tell you the studio is jam-packed. Uncle, hello and welcome to the show once more again.
Welcome, Alaji Fatih, my able-bodied nephew in of African-Falcon relationship. Once again, welcome to Let's Talk Agriculture, the weekly radio talk show that comes to you live from West Coast Radio, 92.1 FM, Kotu, The Gambia, West Africa. I am your host, Dr. Sidat Yafa, and my co-host, Ms. Adam Job. On the technical side, we have Alaji Fatih. Alaji, like you rightly said, this is a very special topic program tonight. Last week, I promised that we're going to be talking about how local Gambian newspapers should invest in the education of their reporters as far as agricultural reporting is concerned. But because of these special circumstances, we will schedule that for next week Friday, inshallah. And tonight, I don't know, my co-host Adam, you're welcome to the show, and you introduce a guest.
Okay, good evening, listeners of West Coast Radio, and this is your weekly talk show, Let's Talk Agriculture. And here in the studio we have a special guest tonight, and he is Dr. Maurice Dawson. He's from the United States of America, Alabama State, and he specialized on IT, and he's going to tell us more how agriculture enhances in agricultural production in the Gambia.
How IT enhances agriculture.
Sorry, how IT enhances agricultural production in the Gambia. So,
okay, thank you very much, Adam, for that brief introduction. And Dr. Morrison is he comes from Alabama A&M University. That's my alma mater. That's where I had both my master's and PhD degrees in the United States, the state of Alabama, in the United States of America. And he is a special guest of the University of the Gambia, because the University of the Gambia and Alabama A&M University, we signed an MOU last year, 2013. So he is the first professor to execute that MOU. So that's why he's in the Gambia. So we invited him to come as our special guest tonight on the show, and we really appreciate Dr. Dawson to be in the studio with us live. And I think your wife will be listening tonight, right?
Yes, yes.
On all your bodies. So welcome to the show, Dr. Morrison, Dr. Dawson.
All right. As mentioned before, I'm coming from Alabama A&M University, which is in Normal, Alabama, and our institution is an agricultural mechanical one. And so we focus a lot on agriculture from multiple aspects, from plant, soil science, to also more technical ones, and especially those dealing with cybersecurity as we move and we are in the digital age. And so my background is I have 14 years of experience in cybersecurity, IT, and systems engineering, and I do lots of research in cybersecurity. At the moment, I am working on a book. It's a handbook of research on new threats and countermeasures in digital crime and cyber terrorism.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very good introduction, Adam. And what we want to know, our listeners want to know your family background, your education, which schools did you attend in the United States, before we get deep into the discussion tonight.
All right, so both of my parents are, they're in the military. They were in the military, retired military officers. They are proud graduates of historically black colleges and universities within the states. And myself, I actually have a Doctor of Computer Science with a concentration in Enterprise Information Systems from Colorado Technical University.
Okay.
And from that same institution, I have a Master's of Business Administration and then a graduate degree as well in cybersecurity.
Okay. So Adam, like I said, tonight the topic is going how IT information technology can enhance agricultural production in the Gambia.
Yeah.
So Dr. Morrison, when you talk about information technology, some everyday language, slang language, so to speak, IT, what does it mean? What does it encompass?
Well, IT encompasses tons of different things, items that are maybe very sophisticated. Some can be just software applications that help automate everyday tasks. So if you're a farmer and you have to keep track of all the different types of seeds that you have, a tool such as Microsoft Excel or Libre Impress or Libre Calculator could help you do that more efficiently and more effectively, which would allow you to spend more time working on the actual crop itself.
Okay. Adam, any questions?
Okay. Dr. Maurice, as you mentioned that you have 14 years experience in IT. So I want you to tell us the challenges you face during this course.
Well, a lot of the big challenges, especially with cybersecurity, as it's grown a lot in the States, was individuals resisting change. So a lot of individuals do not want to have passwords on their systems, or they don't want to make sure that the software is secure, or they're downloading legal copies, not understanding the ramifications it has on an organization.
Okay, do you have any plans of initiating or innovating IT programs in the Gambia to enhance or to promote agricultural production in the Gambia?
Yes, I've been researching a lot of information regarding agricultural policies from the African Union and looking at what they've dictated towards cybersecurity. It seems as of last year, December, there are a number of things in draft, but it's from a very high level. And so what I'm looking at is actually taking currently developed policies and implementing those policies within the Gambia. So individuals, they have a baseline of where to start from. They're not starting from scratch.
Okay. How will you rate the agricultural system in United States compared to that of the Gambian people here?
Well, in the United States, our Department of Agriculture, it's a government department. So it's heavily regulated, where we actually have policies that must be adhered to in terms of even the technologies that's used just to simply do day-to-day operations such as word processing and things of that particular nature. And then additionally, they look at items, specific items dealing with seeds and the way that crops are managed and things of that particular nature. And so there's a lot of regulation tied to that.
Okay, one thing I'm thinking about, Dr. Dawson, is when it comes to agricultural production, like you go on the farm, you sit on top of your tractor, they're what we call precision agriculture. You program the tractor in such a way that it just operates on its own. For example, it will calibrate itself and see how many seeds it can plant per acre or per hectare, and the spacing also of those seeds on the soil. So how does IT accomplish that? Because that's mind-boggling to me. I don't fully understand. I've seen many of them in the United States while I was there. The farmers, they just sit on top of their tractors, just program them, then they do the work 24/7. How does IT, information technology, enhance that?
Well, let's take it from a different aspect. Let's look at automobiles. And with automobiles, the automobiles have GPS, they have Bluetooth, and all these IT-enabled technologies which allow them to do more stuff, to be better and enabled. And that's the same thing in agriculture, where you have these items that you say, okay, I want to look at how many seeds are actually being released while I'm actually moving on the tractor. And so that's all programmable. That's all software that's added to the actual tractor itself.
Okay. And you're a cyber terrorism expert. I mean, you have bad people, you have good people in any society. You have bad people in society where they will intend to infect or inflict damage on agricultural production. For example, milk supply in the United States or milk supply in the Gambia, if we have those sophisticated milking systems in the Gambia. We milk the cows, or then this big trucks come and haul the milk and take them to the processing plant. Is there any way that these bad guys who have very good knowledge on IT, can they kind of put something in the milk system that will affect my health, my kids' health, and the health of everybody in the Gambia? Is that possible?
Well, it's very possible, and especially as you automate more items. If you take it from the aspect of intellectual property, we'll start with that. So with intellectual property, trade secrets, those items can be taken from pretty much anywhere in the world. So I can be sitting somewhere maybe like in Russia or another particular country, and I can actually go online and actually pull that information on how you actually do your agriculture. So I know your trade secrets, when to plant particular seeds, how are you managing your business, and now I'm replicating that entire organization. Now, I had the pleasure of being featured in Lloyd's of London this past December, talking about cyber terrorism or critical infrastructure. So when you think about actually automating these processes, maybe you have chickens, that are being heated or something like that, or eggs. An individual can write a software program where you think everything is okay on the surface, but behind the scenes, the temperature is completely different. And the same thing with seeding as well. So you're driving your tractor, you think the seeding's going accordingly, but really you're putting out minimal seeds, or you're putting out too many seeds up front.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that creates a problem. Now, when you come to this, still on this agriculture business, the integration of IT and agriculture, for example, in the Gambia, where you have crop monitoring. Because it happens a lot in the United States, in the agricultural sector of the United States economy, where farmers can monitor how much moisture the crops receive, either from rain, snow, sleet, or dew, and also the nutrient content of the soil. Like say they will have kind of a unmanned plane, so to speak, that they will send out on the farm and check. So those the unmanned plane will check the moisture level, the fertilizer level, and the insect pest infestation. Is that something that you may be able to develop one day that would be helpful to the Gambia, that would be beneficial to the Gambia, so that we cut down all those major problems? For example, we can drive the plane, or we can fly the plane in the whole of the Gambia. It will take maybe 1 hour or 2 hours. I don't know how long it's going to take. It will map out all the soils that we have here, in terms of their nutrient level, in terms of the moisture content level, in terms of their productivity. Is that possible? Is that something that could be done?
Yeah, I think everything is very possible, but when you look at the population of the Gambia, and I'll explain why this is important, the Gambia has maybe roughly an estimated 2 million people.
Right.
And so when you think about more people going towards more service-related jobs, there are less people that are working on the farm. So using a remote control aircraft, which is readily available right now, you can actually program that particular aircraft to actually get pictures, and you can pretty much get a feel of what's going on actually the land itself. So maybe you have 2 or 3 or 4 acres. One individual can't do that efficiently in a reasonable amount of time. So you can actually program that particular aircraft to go take pictures, or you can use a remote control ground vehicle to actually go and test the soil by itself. So you can program particular routes to say, all right, vehicle go to position A, test the soil, go to position B, test the soil, and at the end of the day, you can get those results, and you can compile them and use other tools to develop those items into maybe some type of data analytics or something like that, and create a visualization, so you get a good picture of what's going on your particular land.
Okay. Okay, Doctor. Talking of IT, and we know that majority of the farmers are illiterate, if I can say,
in the Gambia.
So how do you communicate, or how do you intend to communicate with them when this project is implemented in the Gambia here?
Well, one of the things, even if people are illiterate, you can create pictures. So we have to research human-computer interaction, understand how these individuals would best interact with the system. So we can put pictures or objects, and so they know to click this object, this does this. And so behind the scenes, they really don't realize that they're hitting or doing 10 commands, but they see the picture, they say, oh, this is the picture of the aircraft, they hit the aircraft, and they know they can get pictures, and they say, oh, this is what's going on here. And so what we can do is we can automate a lot of this stuff, and we can make the system customizable to them. It's the same as a pilot who's flying in the air. They have a overlay, and they're able to view everything based upon what works best for them as a pilot.
Okay, I wanted to ask you this question at the beginning. How do you think IT can enhance agricultural products? And I'm a little bit confused.
Okay, so there's multiple ways. When you think about enhancing products, you can look at increasing supply.
Okay.
Because now you can say, running my particular my data analytics, I know that this season's the best, and I know I should plant here. And based off what's happened in previous years, off data that's taken, I know that this land plot's good, this land plot's good, and this land plot is bad for this particular peanut. I'm going to plant something else here that should work better based upon the data that I have through some type of simulation. And so that's one of the great things you can do with IT. You can run a number of simulations to better prepare you and guide you to where you need to actually plant your crops.
Once again, if you're listening to just join us, this is a weekly radio talk show, Let's Talk Agriculture, that comes to you live from West Coast Radio, 92.1 FM, Kotu, The Gambia, West Africa. I'm your host, Dr. Sidat Jaffa, my co-host, Ms. Adam Job, and our special guest tonight is Dr. Maurice Dawson from Alabama A&M University, State of Alabama, United States of America. And on technical side, we have Alaji Fati, my nephew, Alaji, right? Yeah, so by 7:30, Alaji, we're going to open up the phone line so that we can interact with our listeners.
Yeah.
And this show is a weekly radio talk show. It's available 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. local Gambia time, or 1900 hours to 2000 hours GMT. And you can access us online at www.westcoastradiogambia, West Coast Radio. West Coast Radio, one word, West Coast Radio, West Coast Radio.gm. So you can access it, and the show is fully funded by SLS Consulting LLC. SLS Consulting LLC is an agricultural, environmental, and climate change consulting company located in the Gambia. You can also access us online at slsconsultinggambia.gm, SLS Consulting Gambia, one word, .gm. So our special guest tonight is Dr. Morris Dawson from Alabama University, and he's an IT specialist. So we are talking tonight about how IT, information technology, can enhance agricultural production and productivity. For example, in the Gambia, Dr. Morrison, and we're glad that you joined us. And so a novice like me, who has very little knowledge about information technology, what do you think I should do in order to improve my capacity so that I'll be on the bandwagon, so to speak, of IT that will enhance agriculture, my job, agricultural production, or that will enhance, for example, the show that we have here, communications, agricultural communications, to give out more reliable and up-to-date scientific information to our listening community. How can I enhance myself in IT?
Well, in terms of being knowledgeable, I would say the easiest thing to do is to go out there and look at recently published papers concerning that particular topic.
Right.
And a number of people think that they're not as savvy with IT, but they really are, and especially in sub-Saharan Africa where everyone uses mobile technology. And to answer your question from earlier, using mobile phones would be a way to actually
communicate with people.
Communicate with people. You can communicate with workers. You can send reports. You can create reports with the phones, especially if you're using an iPhone or a Android or a Galaxy. You can actually write the report right there using online tools. And so you can create a cloud atmosphere or cloud computing atmosphere using your mobile device where it's stored in a central location. So everybody is able to send the reports right then and there while they're working on the land plot.
Okay. Talking of climate change, we know that climate change is a great challenge to every farmer. So which crops, or in your own perspective, which crops do you think are the most vulnerable to climate change?
Well, I'm not an expert in crops.
You see these upcoming journalists, you see how sneaky they are? This is an unrehearsed show. There's a live talk show, so they will put you on this spot. So
you got to answer the question.
Yeah, so there you have to answer the question. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a trained journalist anyway. So, but she's in the process of being trained as a journalist. So they have their own specific way of asking specific, in-depth questions. So I'm sorry.
Okay.
In your own understanding.
In my own understanding, as I mentioned, I'm not an expert in crops, but I would say was, if you have crops that are, you think about climate change and changes within weather patterns. Like right now, if you look at your weather patterns, normally this isn't a wet season. So if it becomes a wet season, then those crops that need to be out, in drier seasons, those crops will fail. And so using IT to kind of understand items, such as climate change, you can program items in this area. I'm expecting a percentage that the climate will raise a number of degrees. You can say, well, I need to pull my crop out maybe a little earlier. Okay. Or I need to move it to a different part of the country.
In following up with Adam's question in the line of climate change, but I'm not going to use climate change. I'm going to talk about irrigation. Irrigation agriculture is very, very, very common in the United States. So does IT have anything that can enhance agricultural irrigation? For example, using pumps, irrigating water from the River Gambia. We're endowed, the Gambia is endowed with the River Gambia. It's an excellent source of fresh water for agricultural production. So is there any way, or even underground water system, we're endowed with that natural resource too. So is there any way that we in the Gambia can tap into those activities by using IT, information technology?
Well, you can, and when you think about the American irrigation system, especially with pumps and stuff, those items, that's all software driven. So when you think about software and hardware, that's IT. A lot of people in the States will argue that it's strictly engineering, but it's IT as well, because it deals with various programming languages that say, okay, this pump needs to do this upon hitting a particular command. And there's affordable technology like Raspberry Pi, which you can use to create maybe a small irrigation system and develop those items yourself. And so open source software, I think, would be the best method in testing out some of these technologies here in the Gambia at a smaller scale.
The MOU, Memorandum of Understanding between Alabama A&M University and University of The Gambia, Information Technology ITC, School of ITC, Dr. Mohamed Jain, Acting Dean of the School of ITC of the University of The Gambia. He was so excited to meet with you. You remember when he came 2 days ago when we had a meeting with him on campus of Brikama campus. So since this is the start of that working relationship between Alabama A&M University and University of The Gambia, what do you think your office at Alabama A&M University will or can contribute to the development of IT technology, IT education at the University of The Gambia?
Well, I think first what we need to do is get an assessment of the needs. So we need to write out all the needs that that the Gambia needs, and then from there prioritize what needs to be done first.
Yep.
So if we say, okay, we want to have a remote control aircraft to survey the land, that may not be the most important thing. Maybe that is ranked maybe 10th. And the most important thing is looking at automating irrigation systems. And so we say, all right, we're going to look at irrigation systems first. Then we look at just other items second. And so that's, I think, what we need to do is actually look at all the gaps, items, and ways that we can best address it, come up with associated time frames, and then from there execute.
Okay.
Okay. Do you, in the University of The Gambia, do you have any department focusing on IT to enhance agriculture?
Yeah, let me answer the question because he's not the staff of the University of the Gambia. But we have two schools, for example, ITC, School of ITC, and the School of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. Now the thinking between these two schools is to come and develop something that will be helpful that will enhance agriculture production. Because last week, or even this week, when I had a discussion with Dr. Mohammed Jain, who is acting dean of the School of ITC, and he said he will come to our school with our acting head, Mr. Senikeda, will all sit down and discuss on ways on how we can collaborate, because this is a new generation, information technology generation. So we have to do something that will be appropriate for the Gambian farmers so that they can be, as far as food production is concerned, they'll be able to take care of that. So that's the answer to the question that you posed. So, Dr. Dawson, the IT industry, as far as agriculture is concerned, one major challenge in agriculture production and productivity in this country is agriculture marketing. How can you use IT to improve, highly improve agriculture marketing in the Gambia?
Social media. I believe social media would be a big method to increase the actual visibility, using a number of different tools on the web. A lot of people here are using internet, so with the QT cell or whatnot, people are able to get online. You can use social media. You can use Twitter. You can use blogs. You can record items and you can put them up on blogs as well. Even short vines, just short informational vines, to get people's interest. And then you can track that using data analytics through Google. You can say, okay, I put in these keywords or in this particular video that I created, I've gotten 20,000 hits. And you can see exactly where those hits come from. Maybe they're from Nigeria, maybe they're from South Africa or Senegal, and then so many are from the Gambia. The web offers a lot of items and an expanded reach.
Okay. And another area of challenge as far as agricultural production and productivity is concerned in the Gambia is agricultural credit. Like you have banks. Assuming we have an agricultural bank, which we don't have now, if we have an agricultural bank now you have these criminals out there in cyberspace trying to hack into the banking system that will impact agriculture trade between the Gambia, for example, between the Gambia and the United States, or between the Gambia and Senegal, between the Gambia and Mali, etc., etc. So how can IT kind of buffer that kind of challenge that might come on the way as far as the agricultural banking system is concerned in the Gambia?
In terms of the agricultural banking system, this is what I mentioned earlier in terms of adequate information assurance or cyber controls. Easy things such as changing your password every 90 days, and then from there making sure that there are security implications or there's measures put on items such as routers and firewalls. There's encryption when there's transactions. There's a trusted third party managing the digital certificates when information is sent back and forth to make sure if something is intercepted, it's encrypted so they can't see it and items aren't in plain text.
Okay. And once again, if you're listening, just joining us, this is your weekly radio talk show, Let's Talk Agriculture, that comes to you live from West Coast Radio, 92.1 FM, Kotu, the Gambia, West Africa. I am your host, Dr. Sidat Yafa, my co-host, Ms. Adam Job, on the technical side, Alaji Fati, and our special guest tonight, Dr. Maurice Dawson. Dr. Maurice Dawson, an IT specialist from Alabama A&M University in the United States of America, who is a special guest of the University of the Gambia. We just brought him over here because we'll be working with you, we'll be collaborating with you. The show also will be collaborating with you because we want the whole world to understand or know who Dr. Morris Dawson is and what his area of specialty is. So, Alaji, in the next 5 minutes, 6 minutes, we'll open up the telephone lines and the text lines, so that our listeners can call us or text us, ask questions, or comments, contribute to the enrichment of the show.
Yeah, indeed. In the next 5 minutes, we're going to open the lines for them to take part, especially if they have anything to ask Dr. Morris also on this show tonight.
Okay. So, Ms. Joe.
Okay.
You're still looking at Dr. Dawson. I know you got a lot of questions for him.
Yeah.
So put him on the spot. That's what we're here for.
Okay. In enhancing agriculture, what advice or what support are you giving to farmers both in the United States and in the Gambia through IT?
Getting more familiar with IT and not being afraid of actually using it. A lot of people, like I said, the resistance to change, that's the biggest hurdle, saying that I don't want to use this because it's different and it's going to make me do something else. We have the same issue with healthcare. Right now we have the Healthcare Information Exchange, and we have the strategic plan for healthcare, which means doctors will have to use tablets or things of that nature. Doctors aren't used to using tablets to actually type in the information of the patient. They say it's going to be too timely. But if individuals are less resistant to change, I believe things will happen a lot more easier. And then from there, they can learn. And I think what UTG can do, the university, can actually create a course, a short course for these particular farmers to be familiar with technology. It could be maybe a summer session where they say, all right, this is how you use this technology for irrigation, or you use this particular aircraft to get a survey of your land, and then this is how you put everything together to make you be more efficient and more effective at what you're doing.
When you talk about using aircraft, I think of the Ministry of Defense of the Gambia. They might object to it, thinking that it's something otherwise, which is not true. Do you think it's very important to incorporate or bring in Ministry of Defense of the Gambia government in this endeavor? Because information technology, you're talking about flying unmanned aircraft to get agricultural data. Do you think it's very important to have the Ministry of Defense involved in this?
Well, the laws are different from country to country.
Sure.
But in the States, with any type of flying aircraft, we have to worry about issues in terms of airspace with the Federal Aviation Administration. So as long as they have the know-how, what we're doing, or they have an overview, and they understand how helpful it can be, because land plots are not always shaped the same.
Sure.
You may have a river that's in between the land plot, and it may be dangerous for an individual to try to go over that particular river to see what's going, over that. Or if you're trying to go into uncharted territory, that remote control aircraft could actually do that for them. They can say, okay, well, this area is not the best. I don't understand. I don't know how your GIS is done here in this particular country, but GIS data can be taken with these particular aircrafts, and they can save lives as well.
Okay, Adam, before we go and open up the telephone lines, quick question. He's been here just for one week. He's going back tomorrow.
Okay.
Your Gambian experience? You like it? You don't like it? Oh, we don't care. We don't like it.
It's a beautiful country.
Yeah. Is that because you want people to hear that you said it's a beautiful country, while deep inside it's not, happy with it?
I love it. Being here, it's been one of the most friendly people I've ever encountered. Everyone's been helpful, very friendly. The beach is beautiful. I've been able to see different sites such as Ghana Town, Gambia. I've been Bafruit, and a number of other cities in the area, and it's very peaceful, very, very peaceful, and very safe. I've been to other countries where you're outside and you can't just walk around late at night. Here I can walk around late at night and I'm not worried. And individuals will be helpful, say, hey, do you have any, how are you doing, and where you're from, and here's the direction to get to this particular place.
Okay, is this your first time in the Gambia?
Yes, this is my first time, but it won't be my last.
Oh, great.
I know,
Great
right?
to know that. That's what we want to know. Because you are a very unique person, great scientist. You've made many publications, scientific journal publications on your work. You showed me last night. I was so impressed. We would love to have you back in the Gambia as many times as possible on a home. So Ministry of Interior, if you're listening, this is our special guest, Dr. Morris Dawson. We want you to allocate him a piece of land. He wants to have Gambia as his second home. So you listen to the Ministry of Interior, okay?
Okay.
So Alaji, do you have we can open up the telephone lines now.
Yes, the telephone lines are now officially opened. You can call us 446-1193. 446-1193 if you want to take part on this. So, or you can
you want to send your text messages, you can send it on 922-922, 922-922.
And there is a first caller. Let's see who is on the line.
Okay, come on. Hello. Hello? Yeah, good evening. May I know your name and where you calling from, sir?
Andrew Ogu.
Oh, Ogu, how are you? He's a esteemed listener.
I've been calling anytime you come on the program.
Yes, you're right.
Now I'm wondering what you are doing now. Moving from traditional method of farming to advanced technological method.
Okay.
So I was saying that you move to intermediate, which is mechanized farming.
Right.
That would enhance the production of these groundnut, which is our number one export.
Right.
Then I also suggested that you work together with NARI to fight this aflatoxin.
Right.
Whether you set up that clinic, because if you have the tonnage that has been affected by aflatoxin,
right.
If you find the solution, I don't know, this your American professor can help, so we can eradicate it. And then if you were producing 100,000 tons, it would be 100,000 tons free from aflatoxin.
Right.
So that's one. Now that you are moving to advanced technology, it's a bit of a problem, because you say that intermediate problem. When I say move from this traditional method, you say the farmers are not educated. So how can they do? So I suggested that there's only one guy in America whose one farm produces more than what Gambia, the whole of Gambia can produce.
Jimmy Carter, as far as Granada is concerned?
His farm.
Jimmy
so
Carter.
I was suggesting that if you can get the Gambian farmers to go there, and maybe they will do something like hands-on equipment, even though they are not literate.
Right.
So that would help a great day. I don't know if this your American professor can do something about that.
Okay, thank you very much.
People against aflatoxin.
Okay.
And then move to intermediate technology rather than you go to advanced technology.
Yeah.
So how can you help the illiterate man from 0 to 100%? That's my problem.
Right. Now, I understand. Thank you very much, Mr. Ogu. I know he raised this question about 2-3 weeks ago on the show here. But what we are advocating is that we're not saying we go advanced technology, but we're saying because Dr. Dawson emphasized that how the Gambian farmer, because when Adam asked the question that generally Gambian farmers are illiterate, but Dr. Dawson says that cannot stop them from moving ahead. But we're not talking about advanced, we're talking about intermediate. We're in the same line with thinking level with Mr. Ogu. That is to create, IT can create some simulation, so to speak, that farmers can, when they see it, they will fully understand, and they can run it and program it and understand it. That's intermediate technology. So maybe the next generation of Gambians who are educated, hopefully, then get into agricultural production, then they will move it from that intermediate technology to advanced technology. That was what Dr. Morris Dawson said. We're talking about IT, information technology, so nobody should be scared. Whether you're schooled or not, you should not be afraid of getting into information technology. Dr. Go on before I comment later.
Yes, and another item is, when you think about the way that sub-Saharan Africa is growing, it's, some countries are quadrupling. In 100 years, Nigeria is expected to be over 400 million by certain estimates.
In the population, human population.
Which means that you have an opportunity to capitalize on the growth of other countries and actually exporting your goods as well.
Sure. And his question was, how can IT help the reduction or even the elimination, if that is possible, of aflatoxin, which is a groundnut disease in the country?
I think using IT, things like testing soil and stuff like that, and understanding what's going on and catching problems early on, or detecting them early on in the early phases.
Okay. So
we have a text message here.
Okay.
Good evening, doctor. First, I must thank your guest for honoring the invitation. I hope he would encourage American farmers to come and invest in agriculture in the Gambia when he goes back, from Yankuba Jaji.
Thank you very much, Yankuba Jaji. Yankuba Jaji is one of our esteemed listeners. Every show he will send in a text, ask a question or make a comment. Yeah. Your take on that? American farm, I know we have a lot of farmers in the state of Alabama that I know, poultry farmers especially, because when I was living in 2009 in the state of Alabama, ranked 3rd in the whole of the United States as far as poultry production is concerned. Do you think there's going to be a way that you can convince some of those farmers to come to the Gambia and invest in agricultural production?
What I will do when I get back, I will actually share a copy of this particular recording and then information about the Gambia, as we do have a strong agricultural presence in the state of Alabama.
Sure.
And have individuals understand, what is the Gambia about, what can be done, because we have a number of individuals that are looking for opportunities, and there's lots of opportunities for partnership.
Yeah. So another challenge in agricultural production and productivity in the Gambia, transportation. You produce your crops on the farm, but it's always a challenge to move from the farm to the market, local market, international market, you just name it. Any role that IT can play to improve that?
Well, IT, and I say engineering as well, in terms of even such simple items such as power.
Right.
So you can't have these intermediate or even advanced systems if there are issues with the actual power. So, even looking for things such as alternative power, a more stable infrastructure such as roads and things of that particular nature, then you would have less issues with transportation and stuff. And then from there you get to the more technical items such as how do I send this, other payments and things of that particular nature. So there's some various initiatives that need to occur before these intermediate steps actually fully occur.
If you're just joining us, this is a weekly radio talk show, Let's Talk Agriculture, that comes to you live from West Coast Radio, 92.1 FM, Kotu, the Gambia, West Africa. I am your host, Dr. Sidat Jaffa. We have another call, Alaji. Yes. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. May I know your name and where you're calling from, sir?
My name is Olu Roberts.
Olu Roberts. Where are you calling from, Olu?
Calling from Latrikunda, Jamal.
Okay. What's your question or comment, Olu?
I just want to thank you guys for this program.
You are welcome.
I work in a cashew enhancement project.
Okay.
I work with cashew farmers who, the majority of them are not English literate.
Okay.
But most of the farmers now have mobile phones.
Okay.
And we're trying to be passing some information on best practices and the timeliness of it using mobile phones, which I guess is also an IT thing.
Okay.
I just want to share that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roberts. What he's saying is in the cashew business, cashew industry. Now what they're using is mobile phones to get information to the cashew growers in the Gambia. So that's another way of IT improving agricultural production and productivity. For example, they can send information on cell phone to tell them, this is the way you're going to grow this cashew, this is the date that we're expecting rainfall, how much rainfall, so that any activity that is geared toward cashew production, people can be, farmers or growers, cashew growers can be on top of the game, so to speak, so they know exactly when to do and how to do and where to do it. So that's what his contribution is. Thank you very much, Mr. Olu Roberts, for your call. Adam, questions?
Okay, Doctor. I want to ask this question. What difficulties do you come through to make these farmers understand that this IT is trying to enhance agricultural production? I don't know if you get me.
Yes, I do get you.
Yeah.
I think, like I said before, the different difficulty is changing the way somebody does something.
Yeah.
Every day people wake up and they have a certain routine, and anytime you interject change in that routine, people are wanting to know, why should I do this, and explain to me the benefits. And I think that is going to be the biggest issue. So when we work with these farmers and we say, we want you to use this mobile technology for this particular item, like the gentleman mentioned with the cashews, we're going to say, okay, we want you to use this mobile technology for the cashews, but we also want you to send maybe a GPS location with that message. And we'll have to explain the importance of that.
Yeah, we have another call. Hello, Hello?
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from, sir?
Alice is my name. I'm calling from Brooklyn.
Okay, Manema, yes. What's your question or comment?
I have been listening to the program, and we have to say congratulations to you, and you're doing a good job.
Thank you very much.
And I just heard you saying maybe there is no Bank of Agriculture.
Okay. Agricultural Bank in the Gambia.
Yeah.
No, not Arena.
Yeah, I wanted to draw your attention that anything that a Bank of Agriculture will do to assist farming, I assure you, if you go to Islamic Bank, they will do the same thing.
Okay.
And we are ready to do it.
Okay.
If we have any farmer that has a program, he thinks he needs financing, our doors are open. a very, very low profit margin, which is completely interest-free.
Okay.
But we partner with him, and we know the risk of going into agriculture. Our doors are open.
How about agricultural communications? What we're doing here? Can I come over there and apply for a loan to improve my show?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, great. Yeah. Islamic development. You said Egypt Bank? Is that what it is?
Egypt, yeah.
Egypt Bank. Thank you very much, Mr. Menem. It's nice to know that.
You are welcome. So we see what you can do.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So that's a very nice information, very good information. So our listeners all over the world, listeners in the Gambia especially, now we know Egypt Bank. If you want an agricultural loan, you go over there, you talk to them, and they will help you get this loan. That's fantastic. I think that's what I've been advocating for. That's what the show has been advocating for a long time, so that the commercial banks that we have in the country now bring down their interest rate. I know they're in the business to make money. I'm not going to blame them. But you look at the economic well-being of Gambian farmers, how many of them farmers can afford that high interest rate? That's what I'm saying. At least, one bank that I know, who have just called, is Arab Gambian Islamic Bank, Egypt Bank. So they've taken the initiative to start this. Thank you very much, Egypt Bank, and I will direct a lot of people, a lot of my listeners, a lot of my customers to you so that you work with them. It will be good for the bank. It's going to be good for the farmers, Gambian farmers in general. Agriculture trade, international trade, United States and the Gambia. IT, how can we facilitate that? When we're moving tons or millions of tons of, say, peanuts, millions of tons of corn, or millions of tons of live cows. How can IT facilitate to make it as fast and quick and and efficient as possible?
To do that is through logistics and supply chain management.
Okay.
And so you're using systems to understand who's in receipt of what. You're using codes, the actual scan, to say, okay, this item has been delivered to this particular city. I'm expected to getting it here in this particular time. This item is damaged or no good. So understanding the process of getting something from point A to point D and ways to optimize that process to make it quicker.
Okay. Agricultural communicators like Adam Job, upcoming journalist, how can IT enhance their work to deliver communication, rightful communication or information to a farmer like me 300 miles away from here? How can they do that? How can IT enhance their capabilities to do that?
Mobile technology as that is the biggest communication method here in sub-Saharan Africa. You can actually record particular messages and you can stream it through phones. A lot of these phones here allow you to listen in the radio station. So a farmer can pick up their actual phone, or they can put in a phone jack while they're actually working on the farm instead of listening to just, maybe music. And then later there's a message that comes through and you're telling them, hey, that this is going to happen, and so they're able to hear it right then and there. Or through text messages, so you can have SMS messages that come through free of charge to the actual farmers.
But do you think they have to go through this formal training on IT as part of their job, the agricultural communicators?
I think there has to be some level of training in order so they can send out the messages appropriately and they can understand really what is the bandwidth limitations. So you can't send out, if you're going to send out a SMS message, maybe it's not a ton of different characters. It's simplified characters. And then maybe you may have to understand, okay, if they're speaking Mandinka, Wolof, Fula, the different tribal languages, what are different tools to best translate those languages, as an individual may not speak all of them.
Okay, we have another call. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yes, good evening. May I know your name and where you're calling from, sir?
Good evening. My name is Mamadou Gajaga. I'm calling from Brikama.
Okay, Mr. Gajaga, what's your question or comment?
Well, I just want to add to the program just a few comments about the professional who comes from Alabama in the United States.
Right.
I think so is very interesting, and his contributions towards agricultural advancement in the Gambia is also being cherished by a lot of people.
Right, thanks.
It's wonderful, and we're so happy about his coming to Gambia, and I'm sure, if you collaborate with him, the University of The Gambia and the University of Alabama, they can...
Alabama A&M University, okay.
Exactly. It can yield a lot of benefits for both countries, both the United States and the Gambia.
Right.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gadia, for your comments. I can guarantee you, or I will guarantee you as of tonight, that he can't hide away from me anymore. Wherever he goes, I'll get him. So
Modu also is a young writer coming up. He's a young writer.
Modu,
the guy who called right now.
Oh, Modu Gadiga?
Yeah, from Brikama.
From Brikama, okay. So you know him. Thank you very much, Mr. Gadiga, for your comments on, to improve the show. Adam?
Doctor, you haven't answered my question.
You haven't answered my question. Answer my question, Mr. Professor.
Talking of change, we know that behavioral change is a very difficult thing among people. So what is IT doing to change those people who are even non-farmers to enhance agriculture?
Okay, in terms of, I'm thinking of ways in terms of change, what IT can do, but I think when it's time for the farmers to actually use the technology, there will have to be somebody there with them, showing them how they can do it day to day. You're not going to be able to use this mobile technology to receive these messages, and then once you get these messages, do these particular tasks. There's going to have to be someone, a champion of this, that needs to actually sit with the farmers while they're using this particular technology. A lead by example, per se.
Do you think that can be possible?
I think so. With the university size, it could be a student. It could be a ICT student, or it could be an agricultural student who's been trained to actually use this particular item, and it could be tied into a class. So the student has a capstone class where they to actually do something for the benefit of the country. And so the student can go out there and they can say, all right, I understand this technology, this is how you do this, and if they have questions, they can be there right there on the spot. And the good thing is you will have a number of students that will continuously get trained, and then they will have more exposure. Maybe they grow up in the city and they have no clue how agriculture works, but this would be an item that would be beneficial to the farmers and the actual students. So long term, you're building a community of individuals who are familiar with both sides of the tracks for professions and this technology.
Okay. If you're just joining us, this is our weekly radio talk show, Let's Talk Agriculture, that comes to you live from West Coast Radio, 92.1 FM, Kotu, The Gambia, West Africa. I am your host, Dr. Sidat Yafa, and my co-host, Ms. Adam Job. And on the technical side, we have Alaji Fati. And our special guest tonight is Dr. Maurice Dawson. Dr. Maurice Dawson is an IT expert from Alabama A&M University in the United States of America. And he's here in this country as a guest of the University of The Gambia. Yeah, we have another call, Alaji?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello, good evening, Professor.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from, please?
Habibu M. Baji.
Okay, Mr. Baji, where are you calling from?
Brikama, Dakiame.
Okay, Mr. Baji, what's your comment or suggestion?
Tend to have an alternative suggestion.
Okay. Regarding?
As far as farming is concerned.
Okay.
He is suggesting for an intermediate technology.
Right, that was proposed by Mr. Ogu, yes.
Okay, what Gambian farmers need, and what we don't have now, and we don't expect them to have within the next 20 years to come, is capital equipment.
Capital equipment.
That is what we need.
Okay.
The Gambian farmers need most.
Okay.
And we have no means of purchasing them. And accessibility is a big problem for Gambian farmers.
Capital items like tractors or
caterpillars.
Caterpillars. Okay.
To clear live farms.
Okay.
So that an entire village will use one part of the land.
Okay.
For agricultural purposes.
Right.
And then leave the other part for cattle rearers.
Okay.
So that agriculture, even in the form of production of peanuts,
right,
they will be able to produce twice a year.
Okay.
Like Reagan is doing in America.
Right.
And other farmers.
Exactly.
In the field of rice production, it has a bigger potential.
Right.
Because there is fresh water all throughout the year. In almost half of the country.
Right.
So if we have the mighty machine to clear a large area for few farmers, our production will be improved.
I think
within a short period, we will be able to export our products.
Okay. So it looks like your major concern is clearing land. But
clearing of land.
Right. But
also instead of practicing shifting agriculture.
Right.
Leaving the land fallow for 2 years.
Right.
and then you move to another sector.
Right.
Because animal rearing and crop production cannot match.
Okay. But I think
this is the problem Nigeria is facing.
Yeah, I understand, and I fully appreciate your call and your comments. But what I'm thinking is, instead of the Gambian farmer going to purchase this heavy equipment, which might be out of the reach of the average Gambian farmer, there is a company, there are companies here that have this heavy equipment, bulldozers, graders, you just name them. But now Ajib Bank has come in to help Gambian farmers. Why not those village communities go and talk to Ajib Bank and try to get this loan to kind of rent or hire this heavy equipment to go and clear the land where they want to do the agricultural production, instead of the farmers buying this. Anyway, that's a very good thought. Thank you very much, Mr. Baji. Alaji, how much minutes do we have to go?
Yeah, we have 6 minutes.
We have 6 more minutes. Yeah. So, Adam, do you have another text?
We have a text message.
Okay.
Yeah. It is the modern technology that the whole world is using in Asia. So why can the Gambia use the same thing to enhance agriculture?
Okay, that's what we're trying to do, modern technology. That's why we have Dr. Dawson as a special guest tonight, because he's an IT information technology expert, so that he can enlighten our listeners on the value of IT in terms of agricultural production and productivity in the Gambia. So
in general view, okay, what do you want to tell the audience that they don't know about IT? What do you want to tell them in overall this IT enhancement?
Yeah, well, overall with IT enhancement, IT, it covers multiple areas: accounting, finance, agriculture, computer science, and it's not something that you can just shy away from. It's here, it's going to stay, and it's important you understand how to use it best possible to better enrich whatever job you're doing or your life.
Okay. You have any further questions before we start wrapping up? Because I think we have how many more minutes, Elijah?
5 minutes now.
We've got 5 more minutes. Back in the United States, technology is a big thing in everyday life, especially in agriculture. What is your vision of the Gambia, let's say 20, 30 years from now, as far as application of IT and agriculture to be food self-sufficient? Because we are not in the Gambia, we are not self-sufficient in food production. The United States is. What is your vision 30 years from now? I may not be around. What do you think might happen?
I think you'll be around.
I hope so.
But the goal is to move towards being sufficient and not importing in so many different crops. I mean, there's plenty of land here, and using this particular technology, you can become self-sufficient and also provide other countries particular goods or cash crops that you have here, and that would be the 25, 30-year goal.
Okay. So big companies, agricultural companies, private companies in the United States like Monsanto, Cargill, you just named them. They are in the business of GMO, genetically modified organisms, like the GMO crops, GMO corn, GMO peanuts, etc., etc. And IT is facilitating that, right?
That's correct.
So do you think if we introduce that kind of system in the Gambia, in terms of GMO seeds, that might have a negative impact on Gambians' ability to grow their own crops? For example, if we have that, it means we have to rely on these GMO seeds every season, every planting season.
Well, it's even worse than that. So with GMO seeds, they have patents on those particular seeds and the methods, the seed use of things of that particular nature. Also, these seeds, the reuse of these seeds, and you can get in trouble. The organization can come and sue you, say, hey, you're using this seed, you didn't pay for it.
Right.
I would shy away from GMO, as a lot of countries are looking to go more natural because they don't know the long-term effects of using these particular products. If you look at states like Alabama and Mississippi, we are generally heavier, fattier people, and we use a lot of these GMO products.
But some scientists are saying, nutritionally it's very good, because they might inject some genes in these crops. For example, that would increase the protein content of the crop, that would increase the oil content of the crop, that would decrease the fat content of the crop. But still, other camps on the same issue will say, no, that's not true, because if you look at the history of introduction of GMO in the United States, for example, up to date, there has been a lot of problem. You're talking about obesity, in terms of increase in cancer rate. Those are major challenges that some people hold view to. For example, when you go to Europe, learned that GMO is not a favorite thing to talk about. So I don't think, it depends on who's talking. It depends on who's interested. It is there to get the GMOs. But it doesn't mean that GMO are bad 100%. They have very good parts of them. Do you agree?
Yeah,
I think we have a minute and a half to go.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they're 100% bad, but if you do make the decision to do GMO, make sure you have a plot strictly for that, and it doesn't contaminate the actual non-GMO seeds.
Wrap up. 30 seconds. Your final thoughts?
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for listening here talking about IT and agriculture in the Gambia. And hopefully in a few months we can come back and have the same discussion.
Thank you very much for joining us. Adam, thank you for being on the show, co-host. And Alaji, thank you for being on the show.
And we're hoping to see the innovation of the IT enhancement in the Gambia.
Sure. Yeah. We hope to see that. So next week Friday, I'll be broadcasting live from out of the Gambia because I'm traveling, but Adam will be in the studio with Alaji. So we're talking about how local newspapers, Gambian newspapers, how they should invest in the education of their reporters as far as agriculture is concerned. So that's our next topic. Until then, I'm your host, Dr. Sidat Yaffa, Adam Job, Dr. Morrison, Alaji Faji. Good night. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Uncle Dr. Sidat Yaffa and Dr. Morris and Adam Job as well for a great, wonderful job in the studio. Well, as you heard from them, and that's it. Till next week, you join the team again. But don't forget also, as for the local language tomorrow, also they will be in the studio at the same time and the same frequency. Bye bye. Till next Friday on this particular show.
Since Gamson went